Hey everybody, welcome back to the deep dive.
Hmm.
We're going to be taking a close look at some interesting things that came out of a recent CTE coffee hour in Ohio. You know, those
Yeah.
virtual get-togethers with the slides, Q&A, and the announcements about the different events that are coming up.
Yeah.
We've got all the material from it right here, and we're going to unpack it all for you.
Yeah, these coffee hours really offer a snapshot of what's happening in career and technical education right now, especially here in Ohio.
Absolutely. And to help us kind of navigate all this information, we've got our CTE expert here with us today. They're going to connect the dots and help us see the bigger picture of what we're looking at. Now, one of the things that caught my eye right away was a slide about a new AI tool. It's called NotebookLM, and it's being promoted as this amazing tool that can summarize slides and chat about the content. And even get this, create a podcast with two speakers. AI making podcasts. Can you believe that?
It's wild. It's incredible how rapidly technology is transforming the way we learn and share information. Tools like NotebookLM have the potential to make learning more accessible and personalized. Imagine students being able to have a conversation with AI to get a deeper understanding of a topic, or create their own content to demonstrate what they've learned.
It's mind-blowing. Okay, moving on, there was another slide that caught my attention. It was titled, Why How We Say Something Matters. And it focused on how the language we use when talking about CTE and student career aspirations can really make a difference. They even had some example phrases showing how a subtle shift in wording can change the whole message.
Yeah, it's so important to use asset-based framing when we talk about CTE and student success. We need to move away from those traditional assumptions that certain students just aren't interested in certain career paths.
Because that's not necessarily true, right?
Exactly. Students might not be aware of all the options available to them, or they might not have had the chance to fully explore their interests. By using asset-based language, we can help students see their potential and broaden their horizons.
Now, this next slide really piqued my curiosity. It was titled, If You Build It, They Will Succeed, Constructing Literacy Skills in CTE. I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised by the connection between literacy skills and CTE success.
Yeah, it's a connection that's often overlooked, but it's absolutely crucial in today's world. Literacy in CTE goes far beyond just reading and writing. It's about critical thinking, problem-solving communication, and being able to navigate a constantly changing flow of information.
So it's not just about reading manuals, it's about being able to really understand and apply information in a practical way.
Precisely. Think about it, CTE fields are constantly evolving, with new technologies and practices emerging all the time. Students need strong literacy skills to adapt, learn new concepts, collaborate effectively, and communicate their ideas in a clear, persuasive manner.
All right, let's switch gears a bit and talk about some of the upcoming events that were highlighted in the slides. First up, we have the CTE Special Ed Leaders Network meetings. There's a statewide virtual option on February 19th and an in-person meeting on February 27th at Vanguard.
These meetings offer a valuable opportunity for educators and administrators working with special education students in CTE settings to connect, share best practices, and stay informed about the latest developments.
Next, we have the Department of Education and Workforce Graduation Open Office Hours on February 28th. It's a virtual event focusing on IMANE, the Education Management Information System.
EMACE is a critical tool for tracking student progress, ensuring program accountability, and making informed decisions about resource allocation. This open office hours session is a great chance for anyone involved in CTE to get their questions answered and stay up to date on EMAS procedures.
And last but not least, we have the Spring ACTE Conference happening March 12th through 14th at the Embassy Suites in Dublin. The slides mention that OCTA, the Ohio Career Technical Administrators Association, merged with Ohio ACTE in 2024, so there's a new registration process.
Conferences like this are so important for anyone involved in CTE. They provide a forum for networking professional development and learning about the latest trends and innovations in the field.
They're like a shot in the arm for your CTE knowledge.
Exactly. And with the merger of OCTA and Ohio ACTE, the organization is even stronger and better equipped to support CTE professionals across the state.
It's amazing how much information was packed into this 1-hour coffee hour session. I'm curious what stands out to you as particularly significant from all of this.
I think the biggest takeaway for me is the emphasis on the evolving nature of CTE.
Okay, tell me more.
From AI tools like NotebookLM that can revolutionize learning to the increasing demand for strong literacy skills. CTE is constantly adapting to meet the needs of the 21st century workforce. You know, it's not your grandfather's vocational education.
Exactly. And I think it's important for people to understand that CTE is not just about preparing students for jobs. It's about empowering them to become Innovative thinkers, problem solvers, and leaders who will shape the future of our world.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
No, that's a great point to end part one on. We'll be back in a moment to continue our deep dive into the CTE Coffee Hour materials. Stay tuned. And we're back for part two of our deep dive into these CTE Coffee Hour materials. We've been talking about everything from AI to data to the need for kind of shifting the narrative around CTE. But before we wrap things up, there are a couple more points I want to touch on. Remember those CTE Special Ed Leaders Network meetings we mentioned earlier?
Absolutely, the ones with both a virtual and an in-person option.
Exactly. Those meetings are a great example of the collaborative spirit within the CTE community here in Ohio. It's all about coming together to support each other and share like best practices and things like that.
It really is a testament to the dedication and passion of those working in CTE, especially when it comes to ensuring that all students have the opportunity to succeed, regardless of their individual needs.
And speaking of collaboration, that coffee hour presentation itself was a fantastic example of information sharing. I mean, they managed to pack a whole CTE conference worth of insights into just 1 hour.
I know, right? They did a great job of covering a wide range of topics and providing practical resources for CTE professionals.
Now, you know what really struck me? That AI tool NotebookLM. It's clearly designed to make our lives easier to help us process information more efficiently. But it also made me think about the future and how technology is going to continue to change the way we work and learn.
It's a time of rapid change and transformation, for sure. I think it's essential to embrace a growth mindset during these times and focus on uniquely human skills that AI can't replicate.
Yeah, like critical thinking and emotional intelligence and complex problem solving. Those are going to be more important than ever in the future.
Absolutely. As technology continues to evolve, it's going to be those human skills that truly set us apart.
Okay, back to the CTE coffee hour for a sec. One thing that really stuck with me was the emphasis on data. Remember those EMIS open office hours? They really drove home the point that accurate data collection and reporting are just crucial for CTE.
Yet data plays such an important role in everything, from tracking student outcomes to evaluating program effectiveness to informing policy decisions.
It's like the foundation upon which we build informed decisions about CTE programs and policies.
Exactly. By using data effectively, we can identify areas for improvement, allocate resources strategically, and ensure that CTE programs are truly meeting the needs of both students and the workforce.
Data-driven decision-making. It's not just a buzzword, it's essential for the future of CTE. Okay, I have one more question for you before we wrap things up. Remember that slide about shifting the narrative in CTE recruitment? It talked about using asset-based framing to recognize student potential and aspirations.
Yes, it was a powerful message about how the language we use can either limit or empower students.
But here's the thing, how do we actually put that into practice? It's one thing to say we should use positive language and focus on student strengths, but it's another thing to actually change the way we talk about CTE, both with students and within the community.
You're right, it's not just about words, it's about actions. It starts with examining our own assumptions and biases about CTE.
Becoming more aware of our own perceptions so we can start to change them.
Exactly. We need to recognize that CTE is not a second choice or a path for students who aren't academically inclined.
I love how you phrase that.
CTE offers a diverse range of high-skill, high-wage, and in-demand careers that require critical thinking, problem-solving, and creativity. Once we internalize that perspective, it naturally influences the way we communicate with students, parents, and the community.
So it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Precisely. It's about showcasing the success stories of CTE graduates, highlighting the real-world applications of CTE skills, and creating opportunities for students to explore their interests and discover the exciting possibilities within CTE.
I love that. It's about making CTE come alive, showing people what it's really all about.
It's about painting a vivid picture of what's possible through CTE.
All right, that brings us to the end of part two. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment for our final thoughts on this CTE coffee hour and what it all means for you. And we're back for our final thoughts on this CTE coffee hour. We've covered a lot of ground today, but I think it's safe to say that CTE is definitely not standing still. It's dynamic, it's innovative, and it's constantly evolving to meet the needs of our ever-changing world.
It is, and that's what makes it so exciting to be a part of. There's always something new to learn, new challenges to tackle, and new ways to support our students.
Speaking of supporting students, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the critical role of literacy in CTE success. We talked about how it's not just about basic reading and writing anymore. It's about critical thinking, problem-solving communication, and being able to kind of navigate complex information.
Being able to think critically and apply those skills in those real-world situations.
Yeah. Right. And that if you build it, they will succeed. Slide really got me thinking. It's so easy to assume that students come to CT programs with all the literacy skills they need.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap of thinking, well, they're here for the hands-on skills, not for, an English class. But the reality is those literacy skills are absolutely essential for success in today's workplaces.
Absolutely. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we ensure that CTE students are developing those essential literacy skills alongside their technical abilities?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It requires a shift in mindset for both educators and students, I think. We need to move away from the idea that literacy instruction is separate from CTE, and instead find ways to seamlessly integrate literacy into all aspects of CTE programming.
Okay, so what might that look like in practice?
Sure, so imagine a welding program. Traditionally, literacy might be limited to reading safety manuals or following instructions.
Right, pretty basic stuff.
But what if we challenge students to research the history of welding techniques, or to write a persuasive proposal for a new piece of equipment?
Now that's taking it to a whole new level.
Exactly. By incorporating reading, writing, and critical thinking into authentic real-world tasks, we can help students develop the literacy skills they need to excel in their chosen fields.
And that benefits not only the students, but also the employers who are looking to hire skilled workers. Workers who can think critically and communicate effectively.
Exactly. It's a win-win for everyone involved.
So to our listener out there, as you continue your own work in CTE, think about how you can incorporate these ideas. How can you help your students build those essential literacy skills? How can you empower them to succeed in their chosen careers?
It is a challenge for sure, but it's also incredibly rewarding to see those light bulb moments when students realize the power of literacy in their chosen fields.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the CTE Coffee Hour materials. We've covered a lot of ground today, from AI and data to asset-based framing and the crucial role of literacy in CTE success.
And don't forget those upcoming events we talked about for CTE professionals, like those special Ed Leaders Network meetings and the Spring ACTE Conference.
It's all about staying connected, continuing to learn, and working together to ensure that CTE remains a vibrant and vital pathway for students in Ohio and beyond.
Couldn't agree more.
We encourage you to check out the show notes for links to all the resources and events that we discussed today. Until next time, keep diving deep.